Yes, boxing fans, it's your boy Big Nige, and welcome back to another episode of Boxing Weekly Roundup. Listen, it's been a madness this week in terms of boxing news, but let me just keep you updated with what's the most current. Josh Taylor became the undisputed super lightweight champion after a unanimous points victory win over Jose Ramirez in Las Vegas this weekend. Boxing fans, let me tell you something about Josh Taylor. He is the real deal, just like my guy Holyfield. My man became the first British fighter to become undisputed champion in the 4-belt era. Imagine, my man created history, you know.
Oh, okay, goddamn.
Can you believe, since the WBO was established in 1988, we've only had 7 undisputed world title fights. The last one taking place this weekend. And we've only had 5 champions, of course now including Josh Taylor.
Those are the numbers. Those are some stats for your ass.
Josh Taylor has joined an esteemed company of Bernard Hopkins, Jermaine Taylor, Terence Crawford, and Alexander Usyk. My man is in the history books. End of. You need to start putting respect on his name. In the build up to this fight, I had no doubt that Josh Taylor will get the victory. He was oozing with confidence throughout the press conference, the weigh-in, and was talking hella crud. I'm just going to give you my breakdown and scoring of the fight. Rounds 1 and 2 I gave to Josh Taylor, purely because he was the busier fighter in those 2 rounds. He was landing the cleaner shots, and Ramirez struggled to pin him down. He's also known to be a slow starter, so I didn't expect much from him in the early rounds. Rounds 3 and 4 I gave to Ramirez. He finally found his feet and was constantly throwing shots to the body, which had slowed Josh Taylor down. He was throwing combinations with the head-body movement, and finally we had a fight on our hands. At this point it was 2-2. Heading into rounds 5, 6 and 7, you could see Taylor was building up in confidence. He obviously got the knockdowns in 6 and 7. The first knockdown was a beautiful slip counter hook. Ramirez is known for constantly applying pressure. Josh Taylor capitalized on that and boxed off the back foot and saw him coming in as he leaned with a shot and clipped him on his way out and just got out of range. Round 7 again, a bit of grappling, and Josh Taylor landed a beautiful uppercut. Ramirez looked stunned. He was wobbling.
Oh, all right, help me out. What?
There were questions over the referee in those 2 knockdowns. Josh Taylor said in an interview he felt that the referee counted way more than 10 seconds and was given some form of leniency towards Ramirez. I haven't looked at the fight again, but I'll have to see. He kept on saying that the referee was constantly telling him to stop talking, was constantly on his case the whole night, making threats that he was going to take points off of him and so on and so forth. My thoughts on that is purely, he is the away fighter coming into America and they're going to try and make it as difficult as possible for him. Rounds 11 and 12 I gave to Ramirez, who finished strong. At this point, Josh Taylor had known he'd won the fight and Ramirez was just trying to finish as strong as possible. So in total, I would give 4 rounds to Ramirez, rounds 3, 4 and 11 and 12, and the rest to Josh Taylor basically. I wouldn't say it was a dominant performance, but it was an amazing performance. Fighting on away soil, knowing that a knockdown or a knockout has to be your form of victory. And he boxed beautifully. He showed arrays of boxing on the inside. He showed aggression. He showed boxing on the back foot. It was a beautiful display of boxing on the night from Josh Taylor. And credit to him, he deserved everything that came his way. Massive kudos needs to go out to Ben Davison. He had a massive impact in the way that they approached this Ramirez fight. Everyone knows Ramirez to be a pressure fighter, throwing constant combinations from different angles with great footwork. The game plan from the get-go was to apply the pressure back on Ramirez with an array of boxing on the back foot as well on the inside. Josh Taylor worked the game plan down to a T. There were questions over whether Ben Davison and Josh Taylor were ready for such a magnitude of a fight, being that they're still early days in their partnership as trainer and fighter. Me personally, Ben Davison is one of the best young trainers out there. We've seen the work that he done with Tyson Fury. We saw a mature performance from Josh Taylor against Jose Ramirez, and I think that's purely down to the tutelage and know-how of Ben Davison. Taylor is known, has always had the boxing ability to box on the inside and box on the back foot, and he's always had that spite and aggression to him, but sometimes can get caught up in a scrap when doesn't really need to. Perfect example against Regis Prograis. Despite the fact that he boxed beautifully, I felt that he got caught far too many times. In this fight now, he knew when to apply pressure, he knew when to be aggressive, he knew when to box on the back foot as well as boxing on the inside. He basically went through the gears at the right time of each stage of the fight, and that just shows maturity in my opinion. I can't see anyone stopping him, really and truly, in the super lightweight division. In terms of him going up, that's another Boxing Weekly you have to tune in for. The question everyone wants to know now is, who's next? Does Josh Taylor defend the undisputed titles once or twice, or does he move up? There's talks of Teofimo Lopez wanting to move up in weight. There's obviously Jack Catterall, who's now mandatory, who was initially supposed to fight Ramirez. And then there's the possibility of him following in the footsteps of a former undisputed super lightweight champion in Terence Crawford and going up to 147. That for me will be an exciting, electrifying fight. Two former undisputed super lightweight champions now crossing paths in the welterweight division. I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I couldn't put a winner on it personally. Terence Crawford has been top dog for many years, and Josh Taylor, he's a special talent. 18 fights and he's undisputed champion, so you have to put some respect on his name. But will he be able to dethrone Terence Crawford? Let me know your thoughts, boxing fans. In other boxing news, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder have officially signed and agreed on personal terms for their trilogy. Crazy, right? It wasn't long ago we heard Fury would be fighting Joshua, literally a week ago, but that's another story. An official announcement will be made this week, but it's believed that the date will be July 24th. What amazes me in this saga is how quick the process has been for them to sign and agree terms, and essentially we could be seeing this fight in July. Whereas when it was the AJ Fury saga, it got announced, personal agreed terms was announced last year June. It was only a week ago that Tyson Fury announced the fight was going to be officially on August the 14th in Saudi Arabia, and then now it's a week on, and now Tyson Fury is fighting Deontay Wilder in the trilogy. Crazy news. I'm still in shock, to be honest, but hopefully we will see Joshua and Fury sometime in the near future. Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence will be going head to head in a world title fight in August 31st. Pacquiao announced the news on all his social media platforms this past week. If I'm honest, it's not a fight that I wanted to hear. But I'm not mad at it, because we're talking about not even a future, he is a Hall of Famer in Manny Pacquiao, and a elite level, the #1 in the welterweight division in Errol Spence. Outcome of this fight, we need to take into consideration Manny Pacquiao is 42 years old. He hasn't fought in 2 years. Will he be up to scratch? His last 3 fights against Matisse, Broner and Thurman, and he's beat them all. So in terms of big fights, this shouldn't be an issue for Pac-Man. Errol Spence has come off a very convincing victory over Danny Garcia. I feel Pac-Man will start off strong. If Spence can manage the pressure and the hand speed that Pac-Man provides in the early rounds, then I'm expecting a late stoppage from Spence. Because we need to remember, if he is this elite boxer that everyone is saying he is, then he should beat Manny Pacquiao comfortably. because we're talking about a 42-year-old, no disrespect. But let me know your thoughts, boxing fans. Will it be Manny Pacquiao or Errol Spence? That's it from me, Big Nige, with all the latest Boxing Weekly updates. Thank you to all the boxing fans that have tuned in on our past videos. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and for your continuous support.